Hello, and welcome to video 2 of my stealth fan conversion project. Today we're going to be changing out the engine oil and filter, transmission oil, filter, and gasket, and the gearbox oil and gasket. So put on some of your best threads and come join me while we get dirty. In order to change out the oil and filter, we're going to need some simple things. We've got a oil drain container here, nice heavy cloth to lay down on, a jack and jack stands, which aren't necessary. There's plenty of clearance underneath the van, but I'm going to do it anyway, show you proper jacking points. Your oil filter and your oil. I'm going to use a 15W40. It's a lot thicker and heavier oil because this thing's got a lot of miles on it. Needs some funnels, and I'm going to use a light because it's a little dark under there on video sometimes. So let's get to it. Now the two places you're supposed to put jack stands up are here at this bolt, and then there's another bolt right over there. Get it. Oh, sorry, GoPro, are you okay? Speak to me. Speak to me. Okay, you're alive. Good boy. Okay, that should be good. Slowly let the jack down. The full weight on it. I'm gonna jack it back up just a bit, right there, just so it has some more leverage, more stable platform. The first thing you want to do is locate your engine oil filler cap and remove it. Always wipe it off first before you remove it. That way you get as much debris as possible from going down. It's always a good idea just to wipe it off. So let's remove that. Put it there. And it'll block most everything and still allow air to flow through. All right, let's take a look at this thing. So, there's the engine oil pan and the drain bolt. As you can see, it's pretty dirty too. I might wipe these off. So is the transmission, pretty dirty as well. So I might wipe these off real quick. I'm just going to be using a simple adjustable wrench to open up that drain bolt, and then I'll put my drain pan right chaw in order to catch all the oil. Now, as you can see, someone dented this thing. They might have probably tried jacking it up on the drain pan here at one point in time. Don't jack up a car on a drain pan. It's not a good idea. Boy, this thing is dirty, let me tell you. That is dirty, dirty, dirty. All right, that's good enough. Take the plug out of your drain pan. I always like to pop up this thing too, just so air can get in and out. Now this drains straight down, so I should be able to match it pretty well. And just lefty-loosey. Now that I've got it loose, I'm just going to do it by hand. Again, hopefully this matches up pretty well. Oh, getting tight again. Probably because it's all dented. Oh, mercy. Oh, that thing's stubborn. Keeping pressure on it and get out. Oh shit, grab the bolt. Don't want the bolt to fall in there. Which it did, but that's okay. We'll wipe it off. You can warm the engine up for 5 minutes until it gets to operating temperature, and then let it cool off. I let mine sit overnight. Everything's drained out. It's not going to cause any problems. It doesn't look like this is a magnetic plug. You do want to check to make sure threads aren't bent or broken. Alright, nice clean drain bolt. Well, that's draining. I think I'm going to wipe up the transmission. Oh, get a look at this. Look how dirty that is. So now that we've stopped draining, we're gonna wipe this off real quick. And reinstall our drain plug. So next up, we gotta replace the engine oil filter, which is this thing right here. It should just unscrew with a little bit of effort. So let's go ahead and do that and replace it with a new one. There you go. There you go. Oh my God. That might have been the most difficult one I've ever had to deal with. Anyway, now that we got it loose, go ahead and unscrew it. Try and put your drain pan in the right spot. It's gonna leak anyway. And try and keep your hand on it so you can grab it out. There we go. Oh, mercy. Oof, pretty dirty. Let's make sure we got the right filter. Match these bad boys up. And that's not it. That's it. Oh, that's our new filter. That's the old filter. That's some dirty oil. Now, before we install that, we're going to fill it up about halfway with some new oil. Yay. And make sure we get some oil on the gasket, like so. All right, now we just put it back on. First thing I'm gonna do is wipe that off a little bit. Clear out any debris that might be on there. Clean off the threads, clean off the mating surface. Just give it a good once over. Alrighty. That should do it. Now, installation is the opposite of removal. So, figure out which funnel you want to use. Make sure it's cleaned off. Don't want any debris in your funnel going into the filler cap. Let's remove that. Hopefully this picks up well, so I can't tell. Now this takes 6 quarts of oil, 5.8 liter V8. So we're going to put in 5 quarts and measure. And before I do that, I want to take the engine oil dipstick out and just wipe it off. You can look for metal shavings that come off. That'll give you an indication of how healthy your oil was, how healthy the engine is. I don't see any, so that should be fine. All right, let's put that back in. Now this is 1 gallon, which is 4 quarts. Let's do 1 quart here, which will give us 5 quarts total. That's about 1 quart. Now, let's check the engine oil to see where we're at. All right, looks like we're near the full mark. Boy, that's hard to tell. Oh my God. Well, it says full. There's a little bit of a mark right in front of it. So it looks like we're full. Let's just check it one more time just to be sure. And it's right about there, just a little bit more, maybe half a quart. Alrighty, now we're done with that. Always wipe off the threads on your oil filler cap before you put it back on. Let's go check for leaks one more time. And we're looking pretty good. That's old oil that was on the side there. So we're good there. And we're good there on the drain plug. Alrighty, so we are done. Let's go and start her up. Alrighty. Start this thing up and make sure we don't have any oil issues. Looks like we got normal oil pressure. We're gonna let it run for a while, and I'm gonna check for leaks. Oil's done. All right, now that the engine oil is done, we're going to change out the transmission fluid and the filter. I got my 10mm socket, and there's a bunch of bolts we're going to need to take off. So let's take these bolts off. I'm going to leave these two bolts here in place and remove everything else so we'll drain down in the back here. There we go. Now we're starting to leak. Alright, so now that I've got that all drained out, there's the old filter there. Don't need that. There's the old drain pan here. Take a look at this gasket. This gasket is not a reusable gasket, so we'll throw that away. I have a new one. There's the magnet. There's a bit of metal shavings on that, so we're gonna clean that out real good. Clean this out real good. Clean the edge around here real good for the new gasket. Put a little bit of RTV silicone around here. And then reinstall it and fill it back up. And you can see there was, wow, a lot of metal shavings on this magnet. It's going to take me a while to clean this thing off. That's not good. That's a lot. The factory plug for the dipstick wasn't inside the drain pan, so I know that this transmission fluid's been changed at least once, so that's good. But that's a lot of metal shavings on the magnet. I'll clean this off and get them reinstalled. Alright, now that I've got the pan cleaned out, I can put the gasket back on, the new gasket on. You can hit this with a little bit of brake cleaner to get all the dirt off. For the most part, nothing else will come out of here. Nice and clean. All right. So I've mated up the new gasket to the pan. Check the fit. Honestly, doesn't seem that great of a fit. I'm going to use some RTV silicone that is designed for use with transmission fluid. It's not going to eat this away. So I'm going to put some on here, cover the whole thing, and then put the gasket on and let it dry for a while. Wipe off any excess that you might get inside the pan. We're good to go there. Make sure you recap off this silicone so you can reuse it. Just wipe off the gasket real quick and then put it on. Then we're going to let this sit for about 15 minutes, let it dry. So now that your transmission pan is nice and clean and you've reinstalled the magnet, put the gasket on, given the RTV some time to dry, it's time to put it back on. Alright, take a couple of paper towels, wipe off any of the extra transmission fluid. Be sure to get around the base where the gasket is actually going to seal. Make sure that gets nice and clean so you have a good mating surface. Also check for damage, anything cracked or broken, which there isn't. Another good idea is to make sure you clean all of your transmission bolts. That way you don't get any more dirt back in on them. That old seal didn't want to come out, which is why this new one wouldn't want to go in. Make sure you put transmission fluid around here and stick the new one in. It goes just like so. Oh boy, where does that go? Looks like there's a notch. Oh, there's a notch right there that it's supposed to line up with. Looks like that's it right there. Also make sure you got your magnet back in and you've cleaned the sides. Now it's time to reinstall. I'm going to put a couple of screws in to hold it in place, and then we're going to hand tighten them. So now that we've got all the transmission bolts on and they're just snug, maybe a foot-pound or two, we're going to let it sit for a while, maybe about an hour, let the RTV dry and seal correctly, and then we'll fill it full of tranny fluid. Okay, well, now that I've let the gasket and the RTV silicone sit overnight, and I got a new haircut, we're going to tighten these bolts back up in a crisscross pattern. They were just snug on there, not real tight, just enough to keep everything together. We're going to tighten up to 10 to 12 foot-pounds with our little torque wrench. These are pretty simple to use. If you don't know how to use it, you just take this locking nut, unscrew it to the left, and then move the handle up and down to your specified torque setting. This is in inch-pounds, so I got it set at 120 inch-pounds, which is 10 pound-feet, 10 times 12, okay? Lock it back up and tighten these up. Watch how fast I work. Okay, so now that we got the transmission band squared away, let's go ahead and fill this bad boy up. Let's wipe off the dipstick. Get our little funnel. Put that in the right spot. And we're going to be using Mercon 5. That's what's recommended for this transmission. So we're going to need about 6.5 quarts, so we're going to fill it up, probably put in about 4 or 5 quarts and measure. All right, let's run this thing through each gear, and then we'll check the level again. All right, now we're going to change out the oil in the rear end. So we need to remove all these bolts and remove the drain plug and then let it drain. We're going to leave the top bolt in here just so it doesn't come off while it's draining, and then we'll change out the oil. First thing I'm going to do is remove the filler cap. Oh, these can be a little tough to get off, but just give it some effort. Oh, mercy. There we go. Like so. Now, I had lubed this up with some WD-40 before taking it off, make it a little bit easier. This is a magnetic one. A little bit of crap on there. We'll clean that off later. See if you can see that. All right, now let's remove all these bolts. There we go. Oh, look at that dirty, dirty oil. Well, there's the inside. We'll clean that out. Okay, now that I've cleaned off the differential cover, cleaned out all the bolts and the drain plug, I'm gonna make a RTV silicone seal to go around here so it mates well to the differential. I'm gonna use a liberal amount of silicone. Okay, now that I've got my differential cleaned and the pan cleaned and got the new gasket still on there, we're going to put it back on. Okay, now that we've let this thing sit for a while, we're going to torque it to the right specifications. It doesn't say in the book, it just says snug, whatever that's supposed to mean. So I'm going to torque it to 10 foot-pounds because I say so. Now we're going to fill this bad boy up with some 80 weight, 90, I guess, viscosity gear oil. Here we go. Okay. All right, let's go take it on the road. All right. See if I can get out of here without crashing into anything. I don't see any fluids dripping behind me. That's a good sign. Alright, well, I checked for leaks, no leaks. Checked the oil levels for the engine and the transmission. They're fine, I don't have to add anything. So that was a lot of work, let me tell you. I think next time I'll probably just take it to a mechanic because, wow, that was a lot. And I thank you for bearing with me. Now, hopefully that most of the maintenance is done, we can get to the building part of it. I gotta clean this thing out, get it ready, prep for solar, a bed, kitchen, floor, all that good stuff. So there's some more maintenance to do, but I might make another video for that some other time. Thank you for bearing with me, and please join me for the next video.